Wolverine Power Cooperative, and Great Lakes Energy. Your local electric cooperative is looking out for you. And by Munson Healthcare Cadillac Rehab Services.
Welcome back to Veterans Memorial Stadium here on the high school football game of the week here on 26 Sports and CCTV between the Petoskey Northmen and the Cadillac Vikings. And it's Petoskey with the ball to start things off. I'm Derek Tate alongside Dan Gussert. And it's Petoskey with a first down run. That one going to Jaron Kelly around the right side. We saw one touchdown scored in the third quarter, and that was by Aiden Gurdon right up Main Street for a 30-yard touchdown run to give the Vikings a 21-6 advantage heading into the fourth and final period.
Yeah, and Tip Baker getting the run on the two-point conversion right up the middle. Another Vikings defensive stop in that third quarter, and boy, they had a great drive going and turned it over, and that's where we're at right now. Petoskey's taking that turnover, and they put together 2 first downs in a row after that.
Jaron Kelly on the carry right up the middle, and he's cut down a couple yards past the first down, or past the line of scrimmage by Tip Baker, as the Northmen have their work cut out for them, but clearly Coach Freilich not trying to push the panic button, throw the ball all over the yard just quite yet, still trying to run the football and chunk away at this Vikings defense.
I think number 82, Trenton Davis for the Vikings, also in on that tackle. He's playing on the end position out here right at the bottom of your screen, everybody.
Here's Gabe Whitmore, gives to Brody Woods. Woods got plenty of running room along the right side. Finally, Barshevsky brings him down right at midfield. That's a gain of 10, and that's going to move the sticks for Petoskey. Brody Woods having a busy night for the Northmen. He's got to be over 100 total yards from scrimmage between both catching and running the football. Off to a little bit of a rough start on the first drive was Brody Woods, but he's really picked it up ever since.
I got to believe he's over 100 yards in the ball game here tonight.
Here's 1st and 10 from midfield, and that is Riley Least. He is blown up at the line of scrimmage by Colin Johnston. This linebacker group from the Vikings has been all over the field, and they're bringing the wood.
Colin Johnson's one of the nicest young men here in the Cadillac area, and a lot of those kids, and probably all of them out there are. I don't know all of them personally. They certainly hold themselves very well as a team. But I've seen Colin Johnson do some things at the YMCA in Cadillac. He does some reffing of the younger kids' flag football stuff, and he's fantastic out there with those young kids.
He's fantastic on the field as well. Here's Eero Gross, and Gross slips a tackle and into the secondary, finally slung down by Logan Wild at the 35-yard line. That one good for 14 yards. That moves the sticks for Petoskey yet again.
You know, that's 2 first downs in a row for Petoskey where they didn't get much on yardage at first down, and their second down plays have been tough. First downs back-to-back on them on second and long.
They've been running the ball up the middle, and in comes a substitution along that defensive front. Carson Razio now playing defensive tackle. 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line for the Northmen. Woods gets the call around the right side. And a mosh pit of bodies, a ton of purple jerseys in the area. Johnston yet again, along with Tip Baker and number 52 also, Bryce Benjelink, all combined for the stop. Gain of 4.
You know, the Vikings, Razio, like you said, coming in right there, he's on that offensive line, and that's a tough game for an offensive lineman. You get tired, but it's late in the fourth quarter, and he's going both ways.
Trying to get that first win in the Big North League. Pitch goes to Brody Woods, trying to find a little bit of running room. He gets inside the 30-yard line before he's brought down by Carson Razio, and it looks like there may be a Viking down on the field, an injury, and that is going to be Colin Johnston, number 40. He is on the ground at the 29-yard line in pain as we get an injury timeout here.
Let's see what they're looking at. He had some knee injuries last year, a little bit did Colin Johnston here. Yeah, Big North play. Big North Conference opener for both schools tonight. I don't have any updates for you on the other league plays, other games tonight. If we get some of those, we'll pass them on, everybody.
We've seen, over the last couple of seasons, it's been the Petoskey Northmen who have triumphed over the Cadillac Vikings. I believe if the scores do not slip my mind, 34-7 and 34-18 over the last couple of seasons here in the Big North League. But really, how important is it to both of these teams to get off to a win in their league play?
It's probably a little more important for Cadillac since it's a home game, and you know what? You got to protect your turf.
They've
Do
done a
you know,
fantastic
Derek,
job.
offhand, who do the Vikings play next week, who the Northmen play next week?
Well, as of next week, it looks as if the North.
Alpena was non-conference next week. Weren't they heading north somewhere? To the Sioux, I think it was.
Yes, they're gonna. So for the Petoskey Northmen, they're gonna be heading up to the Salt area to play the Sioux up in St. Marie, Michigan. And for the Cadillac Vikings, they're gonna see their first road action against Alpena.
So they stay in conference next week. They travel all the way across the state to the shores of Lake Huron to play the Wildcats.
Eero Gross on a reverse, and he's into the red zone area to the 16-yard line. Eero Gross, that's 2 times on this drive where they've hit him on a little counter tray, and he's paid off here for the Petoskey Northmen.
We see number 64 coming in for the Vikings here, and that's Blake Swiger. Another one of those young Viking linemen. Blake just a sophomore, 10th grade student. A lot of them seeing action here tonight.
A lot of bodies up front for Cadillac. But here's Riley Least. He's got a lead blocker, and he is blown up in the backfield out of nowhere like a heat-seeking missile. Is Tip Baker.
And once again, I can't see who the defensive end is on that side of the field from my vantage point, but they have just done a nice job on that play, stringing out the play and allowing those linebackers to fill behind.
Riley Least has got some quick feet. He's 5'8", 146 pounds. And boy, did he go in the opposite direction when Tip Baker made contact. Gain of 1, 2nd and 9 at the 15-yard line. Give goes to Jaron Kelly, and Kelly cuts it upfield, met physically by that defensive front for the Cadillac Vikings.
That's the first time on this drive that 2nd and long hasn't resulted in a first down for Petoskey as the Vikings close that down and give it up just maybe 4 yards on. Going to bring up, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, Derek?
We've got ourselves a 3rd and 6 for Petoskey. They are moving the football, but they're moving it on the ground, which has continued to bleed the clock. We're at the 8-minute mark remaining. Petoskey needs to come away with some points. 3rd and 5.
Counter again.
Give goes to Gross. Gross cuts it
short.
upfield. He's going to be short, but cuts it upfield. It's going to bring up a 4th and short. That defensive unit led by Tip Baker and also number 82 in on the stop. That's Trenton Dennis yet again. They rally to the football. It's going to be 4th and 3. What do you expect Coach Freilich to dial up here on 4th and short?
I tell you what, they've been so successful on the ground game. I can't see them throwing the ball here, even though they've got Eberly Rodriguez out there as a fantastic target. I think this is going to be quarterback keeping it, and I would be wrong.
Pitch goes to Riley Least. He's got the first down, cuts it upfield, and inside the 5-yard line, he's finally dragged down. Going to be a goal-to-go situation, 7:13 remaining, and Petoskey can cut into this 15-point deficit. They've got a golden opportunity here with just over 7 minutes remaining.
That was a little quicker action out there to that end. That strong side, that right side of that Petoskey offensive line has been pretty solid all night long.
Here's 1st and goal. Jaron Kelly up the middle and into a sea of purple jerseys. It looks like he is going to be called just shy at the 1-yard line. It's going to bring up 2nd and goal. Blake
Second and
Swiger
goal
on the
as
stop.
we go under 7 minutes. Blake Swiger, you said, on that tackle?
Blake Swiger on the stop. And like you mentioned, a lot of young players along that defensive unit for the Vikings getting some playing time, but they need to rise to the occasion as it's 2nd and goal from the 1.
And he's going to keep it.
Least on the carry.
I don't think he got in. No,
Puts
he
his
did.
shoulder in. Touchdown, Petoskey. Riley Least, all 158 pounds of him. Physical running inside the 1-yard line. He finds pay dirt. And now it's a 9-point game with the extra point pending. Now, we did see earlier Coach Freilich out in this similar formation. They decided to go for 2, as you see at the top of your screen. Nate Eberly Rodriguez, one-on-one
coverage. They need to go
coverage.
for 2 here, I would think, as they are down 9 points here. But they're going to roll back into the traditional point after formation.
And it's Caleb Kinsvatter on to attempt the extra point, and it's blocked. It looks like Tip Baker. Who else? keeps this a 2-score game with 6:37 remaining. A disaster of an extra point there for Petoskey.
You know, that surprises me that they didn't go by 2, Derek, to make it a 1-score game. You know, even with the failed one here, they need 2 scores. I don't know, just didn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, we could have gone for 2, whether it be on this time or if you score your next touchdown. They wanted to make it an 8-point game, which still would have allowed them to tie it with another score. But unfortunately, the defense.
You're right. My math was off.
No, it's okay. The special teams unit, though, coming up big yet again for Cadillac. I mean, so often folks forget that 1/3 of the game is special teams, and they have done a great job against the 2-point conversion early in the second quarter, and right there coming up with the block to keep this a 2-score game. We may even see an onside kick here because the Northmen, they're running out of time.
And they have not been able to slow down that Viking offense. Their ground game tonight has been really solid, as has Petoskey's.
And it looks like Calvin Braley, and here is an onside kick, and that one handled by the up man for the Vikings. Tip Baker, number 48, Tip Baker. Who else? He's, again, not playing under center because of a shoulder injury, but he has made his presence felt here tonight.
You know, like you said, you mentioned early on his prowess out on the basketball court, and that was not an easy play to make right there. That ball came to him, short hop, pretty good speed, and he just corralled it.
That one hits him in the chest and bounces right back to the Northmen. That could have been an easy fumble recovery and back-to-back possessions. Instead, Baker comes up with the onside kick recovery, and the Vikings are in business at midfield with a 1st and 10. Gurdon to Cochran, and Cochran fights his way down to the 46-yard line. Gain of 4 for the fullback, who's been incredibly busy yet again tonight.
He's going to be tired tomorrow morning.
Tell you what, I don't know how much Monday Night Football you watch, but if we had a Gruden grinder, I tell you what, man,
Absolutely.
It would be that Noah Cochran.
Absolutely.
Or at least he'd be a candidate right alongside Tip Baker tonight. As the Vikings trying to bleed what's left of that clock right at the 6-minute mark here at Veterans Memorial Stadium, holding on to a 9-point advantage. And everybody except the quarterback in the center move on that one.
No, that'll be 5 against the Vikings. That's going to set up 2nd and long.
Not sure if that one goes on Carson Razio or if that one goes on Aiden Gurdon. It looked like Razio put his hands on his head, so all you can say is, whoopsie.
Yep. Those things are going to happen, and you know what? This has been, for the Vikings, a very mistake-free ball game. Penalty-wise, for sure.
Agreed, with the exception of maybe a couple mishaps on, like, lost yardage plays here and there. They really have played a pretty clean game. Head coach Cody Mallory has to be very pleased. He's got a 2nd and 11 at the 49-yard line. Cochran powers his way through one arm tackle and finally ganged up and dropped at the 48-yard line. That's going to bring up 3rd and long. Really, Petoskey needs the ball, and they need a stop right here.
Absolutely. 5 minutes to go after this snap. Even if the Vikings don't get it, there's not a lot of time left for Petoskey. If they do get this 1st down, it's probably going to be a CHS victory here tonight.
Cadillac trying to improve to 2-1 on the season. Here is 3rd and 8, and the give goes to Cochran. Cochran sidesteps one tackler, but holding on and dropping him shy of the 1st down marker is number 48, A.J. Boven. And here we are. We have a decision for Cadillac, but I imagine they're going to go ahead and punt and pin the Northmen deep.
I like that call. You know what? You're not taking any risk. Cochran has been tough all night long. One more broken tackle, and he picks up the 1st down on that play.
I mean, they've consistently gone behind the left side of that offensive line. Razio, Ryan Wood, Bryce Benjelink, and even Alex Barcheski at the tight end spot doing a fantastic job clearing the way for Noah Cochran. And here's Colin Hess to punt.
And if you don't get it, you pin Petoskey back deep like they're going to right here, inside the 10 maybe.
Great diving play. Tracking down the loose ball is Alan Wang. And we saw Alan Wang do this multiple times last week on special teams, and none more important right here. He pins Petoskey inside the 5.
Derek, you are a wise man. Just a moment ago, you were talking about special teams being that other 3rd of the ball game, and once again, the Vikings with the big special teams play.
However, this one is not over yet. 21-12, 4:16 remaining. Whitmore and the Petoskey Northmen certainly have their work cut out for them. They're down by 9 points, 2 scores, with just over 4 minutes remaining. They do have all 3 timeouts available. We've seen a lot of work on the ground, but you got to expect that they're going to have to start going through the air to pick up yards and bunches.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things coming into the game tonight was the Vikings wanted to shore up those defensive misassignments, and for the most part, they have here tonight. You know, Petoskey's moved the ball. The Vikings have stayed in front of their players, made tackles when they needed to. I believe the first touchdown of the game was maybe the one lone blown assignment or a play just before it that we really saw.
As Trenton Dennis jumps off sides, that's neutral zone infraction, 5 yards, makes it 1st and 5, just shy of the 10-yard line. Whitmore working out of the shotgun and gives to Riley Least. And Least is going to pick up a first down, but there's a ball on the ground. And that is another turnover and recovered by Logan Wild. And that very well may do it, as the Cadillac Vikings are going to have a 1st and 10 at the 18-yard line, and only 4 minutes to bleed off the clock to pick up their 2nd win of the year and their 1st in the Big North.
And just as we were talking about, you know, kind of a mistake-free ball game, we've seen a few here in the last little bit. So, tough break right there for Petoskey. Logan Wild, Johnny on the spot. The Vikings are going to be very content right now to run some slow plays. We probably should get some sponsors going here. Mention our crew here in a moment, Derek.
Absolutely. We've got a 1st and 10 at the 18-yard line. Gurdon under center. He gives to Tip Baker, and Baker rumbling his way close to the 10-yard line.
Our presenting sponsors tonight are Munson Healthcare, Cadillac Hospital, and Wolverine Power Cooperative, Great Lakes Energy. Also sponsoring tonight, Doug Glass at Cadillac for all your home and auto glass needs. Builder's First Source here in Cadillac, your first source for flooring. Stop by and see them today. Cadillac Tire Center, your hometown tire dealer. Pizza Plus, and certainly want to thank them for the chow that we got here at halftime, Derek.
Absolutely.
Their pizza and sandwiches have been just
A++ for Pizza
years.
Plus. Gurdon gives to Noah Cochran inside the 5. Touchdown, Vikings. Aiden Gurdon gives it to Noah Cochran, his 2nd rushing touchdown of the night to put this one away for the Cadillac Vikings.
Nice 11-yard run right up there for the Viking. And now they are up 27-12, coming out for the 2-point conversion. We'll finish our sponsors here. We have LC Materials, your concrete experts. We have Fox Motors of Cadillac, your local Ford and Toyota dealers. Also sponsoring. Thank you to all of those sponsors for everything they do to help us bring you high school sports.
And here's the extra point attempt, and Libby Lloyd pulls that one left. And that one is no good. But the Vikings add 6, and they now lead by 15. 27-12 over the Petoskey Northmen, and they look to be well on their way to their 2nd win of the 2019 season. Look, this is a team that went 1-8 last year. They were kind of injured up. I mean, Tip Baker ended up getting hurt last year and really cost them a couple games. I mean, it's unfortunate because they really weren't that. He's the heart and soul of this Vikings team, but you look at his impact even when he's not under center, and the Vikings look like they're well on their way to their 2nd win of the year.
Solid senior leader, and there are a lot more on that team. Alex Barczewski for sure. And you got to credit that young group of 10th graders, that young, solid junior offensive, defensive line. Just a lot of juniors on that team moving Petoskey and creating that touchdown opportunity right there for Cochran. I think his 2nd or 3rd of the game.
2nd rushing touchdown for Cochran, 3rd rushing touchdown for the Cadillac Vikings. They do have one through the air as Lamond hit Colin Johnston, and to get things started on the scoreboard for the Cadillac Vikings, if you're Coach Cody Mallory, you have to be extremely pleased by what you've seen up front by this young offensive line.
Absolutely.
Carson Razio, Ryan Wood, Bryce Benjelink, all doing a fantastic job. Even the young Mallory along the offensive line, as Colin Hess, his kick is received at the 20-yard line. And there's Eero Gross, and he has blown up Colin Johnston. puts his shoulder right into the chest of Gross.
And he's down
he is
right
still
here.
down.
He was running a little bit upright on that. Usually his runs have been a little lower to the ground, and I think he got caught in there in a kind of a tough position. Hopefully he'll be all right.
Yeah, some of the hardest collisions in all of football take place on those kickoffs. I mean, Colin Johnston probably had, a 30, 40-yard head start.
Yep.
And in stride, put his helmet right into his shoulder, right into the chest of Gross. And we're going to go ahead and obviously keep an eye on Gross and make sure that he is okay. But we want to go ahead and thank our crew yet again, as they've done a fantastic job here on this game of the week.
Yeah, directing tonight, Hannah Crouch unable to make it due to power lines down in her neck of the woods. So we had Morris Langworthy and Wyatt Van Dynen jump in last minute. We certainly appreciate them doing that for us here on a Friday night. Running the replay graphics, Abby Merritt, and our camera crew out there tonight. As we see
Euro Gross.
Gross is up. Good to see that. Nice round of applause for him. Our camera crew, Damian Brooks and Alden McCoy and Dylan McCall. Thank you to those folks.
You've all done a fantastic job. And again, we do want to go ahead and mention that these DVDs, they're available at cctv-cadillac.org and MI News 26. But more importantly, all sports are produced with the cooperation between Wexford Masaki Career Tech Center, CCTV, and MI News 26, which gives these young men and women an opportunity to go ahead and produce a live sports event just like this. So you have them to thank, and we appreciate our partnership with
Absolutely.
the Career Tech Center.
You know what? They do a great job. Allow some kids to get some skills that might lead to careers for them.
Whitmore's in trouble and sacked Jay Goulash. And this Vikings defense has shown up in a big way tonight. Jay Goulash with his second sack of the season. He had a sack in the first game against the Lake Fenton Blue Devils. And Whitmore trying to get the offense up and running. They're still only down by 2 scores, just under the 3-minute mark. And
you got a timeout on the field right there by Petoskey.
Whitmore didn't like what he saw, takes a timeout, wants to go ahead and talk it over with Coach Freilich. But again, if you want to go ahead and if you're tuning in and watching our games of the week here, you can actually order one game, pre-order a box set of your favorite team's games, or all year long you can order a season set. You can do all of these by going to either cctv.cadillac.org or MI News 26. But these games first air at night at 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And they also replay
on the weekend.
on Saturday at 4 p.m.
Yeah, you know what? It's a great opportunity for kids to get involved working with us here at 26 Sports and CCTV, whether that's running a camera. We've had guest play-by-play folks up here. Colin Hess's sister, Elena Hess, has actually done several of football and actually some basketball broadcasts with us, and that's leading to her career as she heads into the broadcast world.
Here's Whitmore on 2nd and long. His pass.
Oh, and it's picked off.
In and out of the hands, almost picked off by Logan Wild. The intended target, Grant Klopodlo. Little high. Whitmore hasn't been able to settle in through the air here in the second half. Vikings defense has done a good job downfield holding up on the back end.
Yeah, gave a touchdown in the first half and a touchdown in the second half. You can't ask more than that of your defense. It's been a well-played game by the Vikings. Petoskey certainly has moved the ball, but Cadillac's kept him out of the end zone.
And it's going to be 3rd and 18 for Gabe Whitmore. Whitmore rolling left, in trouble, now fires deep down the field, and that one should have been intercepted. Intended for Brody Woods, and upset with himself is Tip Baker as it hit him right in the chest, but that incomplete pass will bring up 4th and long.
Yeah, if that had been the 4th down play, I almost hope he drops it. But it was 3rd down. So I'm sure Petoskey will keep this here. You know what? They might not come away with the W, but what they're running out there right now is certainly something that in a closer game, you know, this gives them opportunity to protect or practice some of the things that they might need to do later on in Big North Conference play. And same thing with the Viking defense.
Really a last gasp here for the Northmen on 4th and 18 at the 30-yard line. Whitmore rolling right, Now he's trying to set up the screen, and he's got his man, number 49. Stiff arms one would-be tackler, puts his shoulder down, but gang tackled a couple yards shy. Right there leading the way for the defense is number 33, Jakin Metzger, bringing down A.J. Bovin, and that's a turnover on downs.
A.J. put his head down, and he put the lumber on the Vikings there, and unfortunately for Petoskey, about 2 yards short.
And barring any unforeseen disasters for the Cadillac Vikings, they're going to have what it takes to go ahead and pick up the win here at home. They started all 3 games of their 2019 season here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. They're going to be on the road against Alpena next week. Now, the next game of the week, though, we're going to be going to Lake City for the Trojans as McBain travels into town, and we'll have that game for you.
Those 2 schools have had some battles the last few years. They've met in high school playoffs. Lake City's got the better of McBain 2 straight seasons, perhaps 3. McBain's going to be looking for some revenge there, for sure. We're starting to see some scores roll in from around the area. Mesick, the Bulldogs, a team we've covered quite a bit in the last few years. They win big tonight over Baldwin, 56 or 58 to nothing. Pine River, we will see them later this year. They are up 20 to nothing late in that contest right there. Unable to get you any Big North scores at this point.
We certainly will keep you posted if we get anything that comes in as a final within the last 2 minutes here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. We saw Cochran on first down for a gain of 1. 2nd and 9 for Cadillac. Cochran on the carry yet again, powering his way towards the 35-yard line. Cochran has had a fantastic night. 2 rushing scores, over 100 yards on the ground, as he has been the focal point of this Cadillac option attack.
So the Vikings are going to go to 1-0 in the Big North Conference. Next week we see Lake City, which has won the Highland Conference the last couple of seasons and also been on to the state quarters and semifinals. They've been just a solid playoff team and a solid team here in Northern Michigan.
As we got 3rd and 1 with 1:15 remaining, it's going to be a quarterback keeper by Aiden Gurdon. That's going to move the chains, and they'll be able to run out the clock on the next couple of possessions, given any timeouts taken by the Petoskey Northmen. But you look at in the Vikings, we've now done all 3 games of the game of the week here on 26 Sports and CCTV, featuring the Cadillac Vikings. Really, this team could be 3-0.
Absolutely.
And
a tough, heartbreaking loss last week, 1-point decision. Give the kids credit, bouncing back. That's not easy to do.
Back-to-back years, they lost by 1 point to the John Glenn Bobcats.
And 2 straight seasons that Petoskey put it to them pretty good, and the Vikings come up with a nice win here tonight.
That handoff given to a newly entered fullback, number 46. That's Tim Richards on the carry. His first carry of the game. That'll gain 4 yards and likely one more play to bring us to a close.
Number 23, Jack Ledig. Hopefully I'm saying that right for you, Jack. Nice tackle on that play.
I think you covered all the different ways to say it, but I mean,
probably did.
Hey, you beat me to it. So we got one more play, 2nd and 7 from the 28-yard line. Gurdon letting it run down and bleed the clock. And it's going to be Richards up the gut yet again. And that'll bring us to a close here as the Cadillac Vikings win their first game in the Big North League, and they make a statement with a 27-12 victory over the Petoskey Northmen, as we are going to have some post-game thoughts and a show here as we take a look as the teams are starting to line up at midfield to again show their sportsmanship. We'll be right back here on the Game of the Week on 26 Sports and CCTV. Again, your final score, the Cadillac Vikings 27, the Petoskey Northmen 12. We'll be right back.